Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. So we have Big Kuba here. So we're going to finish off the prep series, episode number 40, with a post-show wrap-up and just a run-through prep from Kuba's perspective, because you've seen mine all throughout. I've kind of walked you through and gave you an insight into it. So obviously Kuba has coached me through this whole prep and through this whole off-season for the last, 4 years now, 5 years. So I said I'd let him jump on and give you a bit of his perspective on how he handled the prep, how the prep went, what his perspective was going into it, throughout it, and I just let him ramble just to give you a bit of an insight. Hopefully this gives you a bit of a deeper insight and share some of his perspective from his end as well. So I think I have my timeline up there as well, having looked through.
Yeah, just so we've got the actual accurate points.
Yeah.
So I think we're better off starting with the off-season, really.
Yeah.
Off the back of the kind of last prep and everything else. So the off-season was started at 100 and pretty much 108.2 kilo, right?
Off the back of the last show.
Yeah. And realistically, he was in condition, but nowhere near close to the condition that you're in right now. So definitely a lot of progress has been made, first and foremost, but we did a hell phase off the back of that show. Then we did 29 weeks in total pushing up, taking the body weight up to 129 kilos, to be exact. This is what I have to get timeline up, just so you've got a full picture of what we actually did. 129 kilo, and it wasn't really a sloppy 129 kilo. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't lean, and each time we'll go back up there, he will be a lot leaner, and the goal this time around is probably not necessarily going heavier than that. It's just probably getting back up to like 128, 127, but even leaner, which essentially is going to keep him fresher, more responsive, and have a much easier time to actually get back in shape when the time is right. That's the whole point. And I feel like when you get an athlete that has been able to go through the process, and the higher the level athletes become, it doesn't make sense to have larger fluctuations in body weight. I think it always makes sense to stay a little bit on the more responsive side. This way, you have an opportunity to not only stay in off-season for longer, but when it comes to dieting, it takes much less time to actually get the body fat back off, get the body primed and ready to go again. So we did 29 weeks in total in a calorie surplus. Then we did a 6-week holding phase, holding the 129 kilo entire time. We didn't back off during that time. And then we did an 8-week mini cut phase, which that 8-week mini cut phase, right? We went from 128 kilos all the way down to 115 kilos, which put us in a tremendous position, because at 115, he was already relatively lean. He wasn't near stage lean, no, but he was pretty damn lean. And that phase was extremely easy. And to be honest, looking back at that time, we should have probably competed then, or we should have probably done a prep then. This is why I don't believe that taking longer off seasons is more productive when you can actually commit to a post-show phase without getting fat, and when you can actually off season over a longer period of time without, again, getting too fat. I feel like the max amount of muscle you can gain within an off season phase is that 5 to 6 week window of post-show in the recovery phase, setting your body up to actually grow. And then I would probably say 24, 25 weeks of pushing up after that phase. So 30-week window in total in a calorie surplus, actually gaining muscle. This is why I'm not a fan of rebounds, because essentially the reason why I'm not a fan of rebounds is because we are often able to get people in a position where you have a rebound that lasts 30 weeks. So essentially what we do, and how we actually do it with Mark, and what I do personally myself, and this is something I can do with people that I know don't have issues with adherence, is we have a relatively strict post-show phase. And this, even with women, like I'll give you an example of Frederique, one of my clients that just won a pro card. She's 6-7 weeks post-show. She's 3 kilos up. She's eating 3,000 calories on average, and she's very lean, very healthy, sleeping 8.5 hours a day. But you can only do that if you have the self-control to not overeat. The second you start overeating, you don't have the opportunity to actually build your calories up. So back on point, we did an 8-week diet phase. We went down from 129 kilos all the way down to 115. And that was like so easy. Fat loss was just perfect. And the look was pretty damn impressive by that point as well. So off the back of that, we thought, well, maybe we'll need a bit of a shorter prep. And that's what we took into consideration for the prep timeline. So essentially, off the back of that, in an 8-week diet phase, we went back into a calorie surplus, and we did another 19 weeks of pushing up off the back of that. And then we transitioned, and we actually went back up to 128 kilos off the back of that. Then we held 128 kilos for pretty much 9 weeks before prep started. And I would probably say the 9-week holding phase was probably what wasn't the most beneficial. I think it was too long.
Yeah.
I think that definitely put us in a spot where metabolically, I feel like we didn't have the start point that we had for the diet phase previously. And we definitely saw that with not having the response that we've had into prep that we had in the diet phase previous, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Like, I was hoping that we'd have the same response, fat loss be easy. That just wasn't the case. So I think I want to cover realistically what needs to be done better next time. I don't think there's merit to taking as long off. If you really want to keep stepping forward, you don't get better at bodybuilding by not competing. And with the way we can structure things, I feel like we can make significant jumps in progression in that 30-week window and then competing again. I think that's always the best way to go. And that way, you don't lose the skill of a prep, and you don't get into a situation that we have just experienced where the body just doesn't respond the same after being away from competing and away from being stage lean for so long. Essentially, off the back of that 9-week holding phase, went into prep, which we always had 16 weeks planned. And we made it in 16 weeks. We still brought out an amazing package, but I would have probably wanted an additional 4 weeks of dieting and 4 weeks of being able to just have extra time, not just extra time dieting, but extra time even eating back up, which I think would have definitely resulted in a better look. But unfortunately, we didn't have the time with the timeline we had allocated. And that's not really a mistake. It's just a learning curve, because not every prep is the same. Not every diet is the same. And you have to take that into consideration. But the blessing and the good thing is we did have 9 weeks of being extremely healthy and being able to get on top from a health parameter standpoint, which, again, the blood work always shows that, right? And the blood work is pretty damn good for where he is right now as well. So that's definitely a huge point. And in that 16 weeks, right, it was still a good prep, but I could definitely tell that the body just wasn't as responsive as it was first time round. And that's just valuable data that we can actually collect for next time. And now we know, like, look, was it beneficial during the 19-week period of growth? Did we grow as much as we did the first time round? No, I don't think so, because we didn't have as much of a leaner start point. I think you always grow better off the back of a leaner start point, and you always grow better off the back of a recovery phase post-show. Therefore, I feel like what would have made more sense in that initial diet phase is probably doing a 20-week prep, which would have only added the extra 12 weeks of dieting. But I feel like it would have been a better prep. We probably wouldn't have had the same muscles I had now, because we did have that 90 weeks of pushing up. But it would have been pretty close, I think. It would have been pretty comparable. But nevertheless, we still competed at what? I think your lowest point was like 110, 111 kilos, right?
Yeah.
And realistically, in comparison to last time, the difference was just night and day. You didn't look like the same person, nowhere near close. So I do think a lot of progress has been made, because if you was to get in the condition that you got in this time round, last time, you would have probably been like 101 kilo.
I think I wouldn't have got that condition in the first. The more muscle you have,
you would have done. We could have got you in the condition. This time around, we could have got you leaner, but it's like, for the sake of an extra glute line, we would sacrifice body parts. And that would not have brought a better physique to stage. And it's something I've seen a lot recently with even some natural guys that do compete, and just general, even pros at the very top. What I have noticed is they chase condition to get an extra glute line and don't necessarily get leaner. And that's a mistake I made last year, and I refuse to make that mistake again with my clients. I was ready at 4 weeks out. I continued to diet. I didn't get any leaner. I just got smaller. So was it worth the trade-off? No. I just suffered for no reason. So it didn't really make any sense. But what you have to consider, guys, in order to make progress like this, there's no days off. Like, unless you're a genetic freak, like Cielen Pearson, which both myself and Mark, we are not, you have to be married to the process. You have to focus on your training, your sleep, your recovery, your stress management. You have to manage your days like a pro. And this is where truly becoming a pro doesn't really start on stage, it starts off stage. You have to put the work in to get the results. If you're a genetic freak, you're not watching this video. You're just growing. It doesn't matter for you. But even that, like, I see genetic freaks that if they put 20% of the effort that he puts in, they would have been pro by now, competing in pro shows. But instead, they cannot even win. They cannot even win a regional show. But they have the potential to be like on the Olympia stage. But realistically, these guys right now, they cannot get in condition. They cannot add the tissue that they could be adding. Yes, they might do some impressive lifts, but realistically, they're getting beat by guys that are mediocre because they're not actually able to commit to the process. So ultimately, Mark is a soldier. He does everything that's required with quality, and I think the quality and results speak for themselves. You cannot get that sort of results just through taking gear, just through eating food. And another misconception is people feel like you can eat your way to add muscle, and that could not be any further from the truth. If training stimulus isn't there and you eat above and beyond your means, you just get fat and sloppy. And you see that both with men and women. So these are definitely the points that we need to consider. And look, each year as we go through the process, he gets better as an athlete, I get better as a coach, we have more data points, and I am certain and confident now, with more skill, both in and outside of the gym, he can even make more progress and step up again. And now we have another reference point that we need to work from and understand that it's probably not a good idea to take longer away because it's probably not going to be conducive to his actual goals, which again is becoming the best version it can be. And where that takes him, right? And look, he's still young. We're not gassing him up to the point where, health is a major risk. It's not. Definitely a very productive year, and I definitely feel like there's a lot more to come.
I think that's the merit as well of working with a coach for a long period of time, because Kuba knows my body now, and as well as that, the trust is there. So even this prep, the first prep together, it was like I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't prepped with him before, but this time I had zero stress, zero worry, because we prepped together before, and I was confident. I knew he was where he was going to get me. So by working with a coach for a long period of time, during gaining phases, dieting phases, mini cuts, preps, it just builds up that relationship. It takes the stress off the athletes and allows the coach to know the athlete's body better. The results get better over time. So that's Kuba's synopsis. I will give a bit more insight as well once I get back in terms of what I learned from the prep and the plan of action going forward. But I appreciate it, guys. I hope this is beneficial, and you're all probably following Kuba by now. So go on. Yes, guys. So I'm going to give you some of my perspective and a few words to finish off this prep series and prep season and this prep in general. And these are things I've kind of known and believed up until now, but this prep has really reconfirmed and made these things very, very clear to me. So what have I learned? What lessons have I taken from this prep? First of all, patience is key. We cannot rush the process. We cannot rush fat loss, gaining muscle, getting to where you want to be. These things take time. And when we understand that, it makes the process more enjoyable because we understand that it's not going to happen overnight. So we're okay with that. And we know that once we keep putting the work in, eventually we will get to where we want to be. But we have to be okay with the time that it's going to take. And on that note as well, the process is the prize. And what I mean by that, and one thing I learned very, very fast in this game, is that when you achieve goals and when you get to milestones, such as everything is honed in towards stage, when you get to stage, you realize nothing really changes. And you realize that the whole enjoyment, you think when you get to stage, great, you're going to have this big epiphany, you're going to, get off stage and everything's going to be different. And you soon realize that the process is the prize. The prize is not stepping on stage or winning a show. The process is the prize. What you learn throughout that process, who you become in that process. It's a lot of people find it difficult to wrap their head around that, but when you truly love the process, that is the prize. That brings you all the joy and satisfaction that you're trying to search for in the end goal, if that makes sense. Another one is you don't learn anything from winning, only losing. This is going to be controversial because the shows that I won this year, I didn't really get much joy. And any show that I've won in the past, I don't really get much joy because, again, my prize is the process. That's where I get most of my joy from. So getting to a show, winning the show, it's amazing. But it's just a pit stop on my journey of the actual process, which is what brings me so much happiness and joy. Losing, however, teaches me a lot. I fucking hate it. I hate losing. And it's a funny one because when I win, it doesn't bring me much happiness, but I fucking hate losing. So for me, winning doesn't teach me anything. I can win and step off stage and what have I gained from that? Nothing. Whereas when I lose, that teaches me a lot. I learn a lot from losing. So when you don't get what you want, when you lose in future, don't look at it as a bad thing. That is just fuel to the fire. It's all fuel. And let that drive you and make you a better person. I see people, oh, I lost, I'm going to quit, I'm not going to do this again, this isn't fair. Shut up and stop feeling sorry for yourself. Crack on, keep working, learn from it, grow, develop. This is what life is all about. Another one, and the sooner people realize this, the better, especially in bodybuilding. Everybody works hard. Just because you've given everything to this does not mean you deserve to win. I put everything into this process. I worked super, super hard. Did I deserve to win because of that? Fuck no. Everybody works hard. Everybody puts the same work in. So we're not entitled to winning. We're not entitled to anything. Put the work in without expecting a return. Yes, we work to achieve something, but if you expect something just because you've worked hard for it, we're delusional because everyone else is working just as hard. Just realize that. Now, the final one, I have these written down as well, just so I had them in my mind. This one, the biggest gain of bodybuilding is the people you meet along the way, the relationships you make, and the memories you create. And I'm a firm believer in this because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, if you are sitting there on your own with a few medals, what joy is that going to bring? It's the memories. It's like all the memories I've created from bodybuilding over the last even 10 years. I think back to trips to Barcelona I've had, the Europeans I've had, the Arnold Classic and Body Power. I think back to all these things and I think of, wow, they were great memories. I'm thinking of I can remember backstage and the whole process. I remember training sessions on the lead up to shows. I remember, all these things, and this is what the real prize is. Actually looking back and having these memories and these moments that really brought me a lot of joy in that moment. core memories, so to speak. Then the people you meet along the way in this niche game, we can feel isolated at times because it's very niche, it's very strange, bodybuilding, the way we live. So when we meet people along the way at shows, in this industry, etc., them relationships are very, very valuable because it's people with the same mindset as us, and being able to share them relationships and share that journey with people around you, that is massive. It's massive. And building them relationships and where them relationships go off the back of bodybuilding. You know, I have built relationships over the past 10 years that I have friends that don't even bodybuild anymore. But the only reason I have relationships with them is because I met them through bodybuilding. So the people you meet, the relationships that you make and form, and the memories that you make, that is the real joy. So they're my lessons that I have learned, not just during this prep, but kind of what I knew up until now, but this kind of prep really confirmed it as well. So that is pretty much the season wrapped up, the series wrapped up as well. But don't get it twisted. Even though I say the process is the prize and winning doesn't teach me anything, etc., what are we going to do? We're going to go away, we're going to progress, and we're going to come back and try and fucking win again. It's that simple. It's like I said, it's strange because even though, win isn't everything, we do this to win, but winning comes in so many forms as well. So if you just keep showing up, if you love doing something, okay, that's the main thing. You got to love it. Don't do something you hate. But if you love doing something, it's impossible to fail if you just do not give up. Just continuing to show up, learning from the lessons, learning from the losses, learning from the wins where you can as well, and just building. Like, you love doing it, you're not going to stop doing it. So just build. The more you do it, the more time spent in the game, the longer you do something for, the more chance of success at that you have, because consistency is king. And once you put in the reps in terms of the time needed to reach a goal, you will get there. There's two options. You achieve the goal that you have once set out, or number two, you quit before you get there. You can't fail if you don't quit. Bear that in mind. So guys, I appreciate every single one of you for following along this prep. The next video is going to be the first video of the off season. Reversing out of a show, how I'm doing it, how to do it properly in my opinion as well, and the lead into the off season and the game plan over this next few months. Much love, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I will see you soon.